morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Sports. This is the morning show. Missed the day yesterday, but we're back today. I'm the NFL Gene Walls. To my right, it's the man that knows better. It's Mo Better.
Hey, good morning, Gene. Good morning, chat. Welcome.
Got a lot to get into. Football Thursday. Thursday night football is going to come at you tonight. We have an episode of Sideline to Sideline tonight. We got and one later on. We're rocking and rolling with some of this basketball and NFL. It's one of the best times of the year. College basketball has just started. Cameron Boozer's dominating second half for Dukies. Listen, this college basketball season is going to be fun, Mo. Do you have I don't know how much college basketball you keep up with, but do you have a preseason Final Four or champion or a team that you think is going to run the table?
I don't have a preseason Final Four, but I do think Duke is going to be there when it's all said and done. Carlos Boozer's son is the real deal.
Hey, listen, they said he was playing soft. He said, oh, you want to see soft? I'll show you soft. Showed up, knocked it out the ballpark, second half dominated. I like Purdue, Braden Smith, senior guard. I love teams that have senior guards coming into the tournament. They're the guys that can control the offense fully. I'm a fan. We'll see how that plays out, but I'm looking forward to a really fun year. Florida, one of my picks to make to the Final Four, is already 0-1. Last year's national champion. I think that was super interesting. So, well, obviously, we can get into that a little bit more too. But let's talk about NBA. Let's talk about what happened last night. And Spurs 5-0, losers of 2 straight. Lakers 7-2, no LeBron, a little bit of Luka magic. Down 10, or not down 10, down 8 going into the fourth quarter. They win the fourth quarter by 10 points. They've beaten the Spurs, the Trailblazers, the Heat, the Grizzlies, and the Timberwolves to win 5 straight games. Mo, tell us how your Lakers are doing it.
Look, I think they've just gotten a lot of really great ball movement before Austin Reeves went down. He showed you he could be a facilitator as well as a shot creator. Now that Luka's back, look, Luka's always been a great offensive player. And the attention that he draws, he creates opportunities for his teammates. They've been getting solid play from Marcus Smart, Rui Hachimura, a guy that nobody talks a lot about to me. It's been big for them, Jake LaRavia. Great pickup in the offseason. He's been a really good, effective three-point shooter and a solid defender. Look, the Lakers are a solid team. And even though they won, it was an ugly win. I think they're a little bit overrated.
So you think the Lakers are overrated even though they won the game? Listen, I follow that. I don't.
They're good.
I'm not saying they're good or they're bad or what they are, but what I will say is that Lucas looked great. And
Agreed.
And you still don't have LeBron James, who. Listen, I know Jory said we don't need flop. Get off my squad. I don't agree. I think LeBron James is going to bring a lot to the table. Rui played really well last night. Marcus Smart starting to get his footing. I said Marcus Smart was a huge pickup for them. DeAndre Ayton had 22 and 10. I don't know the last time I've seen DeAndre Ayton have 22 and 10 in a basketball game.
To be fair, though, with Ayton, he's rolling to the basket. This is about Luka creating opportunities for him where all he's got to do is catch and finish. So he's been good in the role that they've put him in. And again, I'm fine with the record that they have. I would just say it's a little deceptive because if you really go between the numbers, they're a middle of the road offense and they're a middle of the road defense. And the only good team they've played to me it's been the Spurs, and it's a young Spurs team who didn't play their best basketball last night. So I'm happy that the Lakers have the record that they have, minus LeBron and now minus Austin Reeves. But I think that we don't know what teams really are in the NBA, and we've always said this before, until you're at least 25, 30 games into the season, then we know who you are. The same way that we look at Chicago in the East, in the Chicago's, I believe they're either 5-1 or 6-1. If that holds up, then Chicago's going to be one of the top 3 seeds in the East. I don't know if that's sustainable. I think it's entertaining. It's certainly great for Bulls fans, but I don't think there's only a couple teams who have true identities. One is the defending champs, Oklahoma City. You know what they're going to be, even though they suffered a loss last night. Once they get J-Dub back in their hole, that's still the best team to me in the Western Conference. But a lot of these teams don't have identities. The Sixers, who are tremendous offensively, but they're not very good defensively. And because they don't play great defense, it's going to cost them games. They're really only dominant on one side of the floor. So again, and can they tighten that up? Absolutely, they can tighten that up. I just think a lot of these teams right now are trying to find their identities. The Lakers are weird because they've won without Luka. Then Reeves goes down. They've won without Reeves. We haven't had LeBron for the start of the season. I don't even know what their true identity is. What I do know is I could see a future where Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves could be the 1 and the 2. And I'm not writing off LeBron. I'm just saying they're both 26 years old. Austin Reeves has shown me that he's more than just a shooter. He's a facilitator. He's a shot creator. So he's actually better than I thought he was off the bounce. So great. Look, good win for the Lakers last night. I would call it a bad loss for the Spurs. But it's early in the season, and I'm excited about this NBA season. I love watching Wemby. I love watching the development of young players. So I'm entertained. I'm going to be entertained going forward for the rest of this year. I'm going to watch Mavericks games every chance I get because I want to watch Cooper Flag. I'm just excited about this NBA season.
Yeah, so I know you said you don't know who a team is until 25 games into the season, but I look at the West, and I don't take this the wrong way, Mo. I almost think the top 9 of the 10 seeds are going to be the 9 of the 10 seeds in the playoffs. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. We think Oklahoma City is going to make the playoffs, right?
Sure.
Houston.
Yes.
Denver.
Yes.
San Antonio.
Well, I had them making the playoffs. A lot of people didn't. I had them making the playoffs before Wemby doing what he's doing. But yeah.
Golden State.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I don't know.
Minnesota.
They might make the playoffs, but they're not very good. But yeah, I'll go with that. Sure.
So the only teams that are really standing out in the standings are the Portland Trailblazers, who are 5-3. And I look at Dallas, who's 2-6. I don't think they're a playoff team right now. I really don't. So the Suns being 3-5 is somewhat surprising, but the top teams in the West are all there. Oklahoma City, Houston, Denver, San Antonio. They're the top 4. The Lakers.
Well, so what I'm saying is, yeah, we know that Denver and Oklahoma City are 2 of the top teams in the West. That's a given. But I don't know what the Lakers are. I'm talking about teams like the Lakers, the underbelly teams that.
But what teams below them are going to pass them? Do you think the Clippers are going to finish better than them?
I don't know. I don't think they will because I think the Clippers are too old.
Correct.
So I don't think they have a chance. But where the Lakers finish in the standings, I'm not sure that matters because I don't like if they finish 5th in the standings. Do I think that means the Lakers are a legitimate title contender? No, it just means they finished 5th in the standings. You know what I mean? Like I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is when I look at the Western Conference, I think there are 3 teams that can come out of the West, but just 3 teams. I don't care about the rest of them.
I would go 4, but I got you. Who are your 3? I'm wondering which one you're leaving out.
Obviously, I'm going Oklahoma City.
Yep.
I'm going Denver.
Yep.
And I'm going Houston.
San Antonio would be my 4th.
No, I look. I'm excited for them. I think for them to go on a deep run with the core that they have, that would be surprising.
Well, they lose Dylan Harper. They lose 2 straight games. Dylan Harper is going to be out for a couple weeks with a calf strain. De'Aaron Fox is out. Stephon Castle's playing great basketball. Victor Wembanyama. And I think that you can contribute the fact that they really don't have a true point guard facilitating, which is why Victor Wembanyama's numbers have went down a little bit the last few days. I think that San Antonio 100% could be there.
Well, I think the biggest problem with Wembanyama is it isn't a point guard; it's him. He's doing everything from 23 feet out. He doesn't play in the post. He doesn't even play in the mid post or in the elbow. He can make the game easier for himself by not trying to do like we get it. I know that you can handle the ball at 7'5", and that's impressive, but you don't have to make everything off the dribble to where you make it harder on yourself. I think he's got to learn how to be the finisher instead of trying to create everything.
I didn't get a chance to go over this with you yesterday because we were both out, but I want to go over something with you. The 76ers blew a game versus the Chicago Bulls the other night. And I want to go over how they blew the game. And this is where I don't want to say I understand it, but it's frustrating. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So I think there was, let me get the exact here. I'm right here. At 6 minutes and 26 seconds left in the game, the 76ers were up 109-100. And that's important to hear because I want to give you like the reoccurring situation to happen. So 5:51, Tyrese Maxey misses a layup. Okay. Joel Embiid enters the game at 5:39 for Adem Bona. They run an offense. Joel Embiid misses a 9-foot jumper. Vucevic scores. Maxey gets fouled. He shoots 2 free throws. Vucevic scores. They run a set to Joel Embiid, misses another 9-foot jumper. Maxey misses a step back. They run another set to Joel Embiid. He turns the ball over. It gets stolen. Giddey scores. They run another set, and Joel Embiid shoots a 3-pointer. He misses. And then Josh Giddey scores. What I want to continue going through is now we're down in a minute into the game, and it's 111-108. And they're running sets, Joel Embiid, 111-110. They run a set to Joel Embiid, misses a jumper, still 111-110. Vucevic ends up hitting the 3 in the corner, and then the Sixers get a wide open look for Quentin Grimes, who misses a game winner. But do you think that the 76ers are a better basketball team without Joel Embiid? And I want to be very clear when I say it. I don't. But I think right now, they're a better basketball team when he's not on the court. I think you have to get the big man rolling and try to get him healthy come playoffs because they have no chance of doing anything playoff-wise going deep without Joel Embiid. I could be wrong. So, Brett, I see you joining. Mo, I just laid everything out for you. Mo, what was your thoughts on the way the 76ers finished the other night?
I didn't like the way they kept force-feeding Joel Embiid the ball. I actually disagree with the notion that they need Joel Embiid. I actually thought the last 5 minutes showed you what he's not anymore. Like, Nick Vucevic is a good basketball player, but he looked like he had no problem scoring whenever he wanted to because he knows that Joel Embiid can't move anymore. I think that if you got rid of Joel Embiid and you went out and got a guy who was maybe not a natural scorer, but was a rim runner and a rim protector, the Sixers would be better off than they are with Joel Embiid. I would move. I've always said this. I would move Joel Embiid as quick as possible. And I know people say like, oh, you can't move that contract. Yes, you can, because there's plenty of franchises that desperately need to put people in stands. The Kings, the Hornets, we could keep going, Utah, wherever. But my point is, when you've got a core with Maxey, you've got Jim Kelly, you've got Edgecombe. There's talent. Jared McCain is coming back. Quentin Grimes has been terrific. They have no shortage of perimeter talent. What they need is they need a rebounder and they need a shot blocker. And right now, even when he plays, Embiid's not much of a rebounder. He's certainly not helped defensively because he can't move. He's a detriment to your defense because he can't move anymore. So I just didn't like that they kept force feeding him the ball, trying to run the offense through him, when clearly everything should have been drawn up for Maxey, because Maxey could not only get his own self buckets, he create opportunities with his penetration. I was surprised that they kept force feeding Embiid the way they did, and Chicago fed off of that.
Brett, I don't know how much of that Bulls 76ers game you've seen, but the last 5 minutes were absolutely brutal. I was reading this shot count, and I watched it live, and they just kept running sets. And I think what Nick Nurse is doing is he's trying to get the offense flowing again and getting the big man's confidence back. And to be honest, early in the games when he has his knees, he's actually shooting the ball very efficiently. What were your thoughts on that and the breakdown of it?
So I've kind of always kind of maintained this idea that I'm going to give Joel Embiid to like game 20 or 25, and then I'll make a more of a judgment on him, because he's clearly right now trying to get his legs back from under him. I obviously still think he can be an impactful player on this team, but as of right now, I'm not sure. He's still clearly playing into shape. He looks winded at the end of games. So that being said, the end of that game, I just hope that doesn't start a bad habit of just give it to Embiid and try to let him cook in clutch time, right? Because I don't think Philly needs to do that anymore. That used to be, their big key to success. Just give it to Embiid and let him cook whoever's in front of him. But now you have multiple guys that can contribute. You have Max. You have an Edgecombe. You can get going downhill and make something work. You don't just have, just you and a James Harden. So I hope it doesn't start any bad trends in clutch time where they just try to run everything through one person when they don't need to. And when it comes to Embiid, that end of that Bulls game didn't look great, but I'm still willing to give him more time.
I'm with Mo. I would love to trade him. I was giving it as a thought process of if we can't trade him, I would love to trade him. Do you guys think it's a possibility that the relationship he has with James Harden and the Clippers and the fact that they're a little older and they're kind of going all in, that you could get even if you have to throw in something, an Embiid for a Zubac switch? And does that make the 76ers better? Does that make the Clippers any bit more formidable? The Clippers play a very slow style of basketball, which would kind of, I don't know, play to the strength of Joel Embiid. Am I just trying to sell myself on a trade that can't happen?
No, I think there's a trade out there to be made. I don't know, because the Clippers are old because of the way they built that roster. Like, Brett understands their roster construction. They put themselves in this position. Like, to me, the same way we talk about Joel Embiid and other older stars, the Clippers should have just, bit the bullet and accepted the fact that you're not going to win a title in the Kawhi Leonard era. That's done. The James Harden era coming up now, like, they should have made moves for the future. And now you look at them, and they got a core of guys that are 35 and older. Adding Joel Embiid to that team, I don't think it makes them a title contender. It just means that on that team, he'd be the rare young guy, if you want to call him that, on that team. But if that deal were made, I think the Sixers would get the better in the deal. Zubac would be exactly what you need. A guy that gets you a double-double that you don't have to run plays for, and he's in his mid-20s.
What about Mark Williams from Phoenix?
Mark Williams would be a good addition. Look, if I were Daryl Morey, the number one guy that I'd be pursuing, because we play fast, I need a center that is agile enough to run with my guys. And the guy, to me, that fits the bill perfectly would be the guy out in with the Nets. I think Nicholas Claxton would be a perfect fit for the Sixers.
Brett?
So when it comes to an Embiid trade, I don't think it's a smart idea right now, just because with him just playing his way into shape, you're going to have everybody trying to lowball you. So if you're going to trade Embiid, I would maybe wait till closer to the trade deadline, let him get his legs back under him, see if you can get a couple of vintage games out of him. Because I don't really think his value is getting any lower than it is right now. So it's definitely possible to move him for a guy like,
Gets injured again. That's it. Like you're basically playing with a string, and if the string snaps, it's done. Like the yo-yo falls away, it rolls down the street, it's gone. He gets injured again, you could just delete any trade. So like you say his value can't get lower. Yeah, you're right. It could be zero.
And that's the whole thing, though. If you wait for him and go, we're going to build up his confidence to get him strong, and then boom, the knee goes out again or something else goes wrong, his value will actually get much lower. And like you say, people can lowball them now. If he gets hurt again, now they're going to be asking for, like, we want Embiid and we'll give you some Doritos back. Like, that's what you're going to get. Like, at some point, the offer is going to be, well, we're not giving you anybody from our core, but we'll take him off your hands and you guys get back cap space.
But I think that's what the offer is right now for Embiid. I don't think anybody's willing to give up much of anything right now for him. He hasn't really looked all that amazing coming back. Right now, I feel like you're just going to get a role player and some, cap relief if you trade him right now. So that's kind of what I'm trying to say, though. Like, if you want to get like an actual key piece to your team back, I think it's just better to roll the dice, see if he can stay healthy and play well for a while, and then try to move him. Because at this point, if you trade him now, you get cap relief. If he gets hurt again and you try to trade him, you're probably going to have to give up a pick and, get cap relief, which is about his value right now. So that's all I'm going at. I think it's just smart to, ride it out with Embiid for a while and see if he can get that value up. Because even if he gets hurt again, I don't think its value is too far off than what it is now.
Let's change course. I appreciate it. Let's change course to the NFL. Haven't really got the opportunity to fully talk trade deadline with you gentlemen. And we're going to talk about a little bit tonight on sideline to sideline. But when I examine, and this is me I am an Eagles fan. It's very obvious. I'm not like hiding that. But I also break down the NFL and I break it down on a level I feel like that is above the casual watcher. Is that fair? Like I'm not sketching butterflies over here. Like I know what I'm talking about when it looks like the NFL. I think that the Jets are the biggest winner in this trade deadline when I broke it down. I think they got extreme value for both players. And I don't know who made the worst trade. And I'll give you my example of what I mean. Sauce Gardner is not Sauce Gardner from his rookie year. He's not been that way since officials have been calling him for being too handsy. The scouting report on Sauce has always been, if they allow him to get away with the handsiness, the physical, he's an elite corner. But when officials start calling him for the pulls and the grabs he's a DPI waiting to happen. And the guy went out there and they got 2 first-round draft picks for him. Chris Ballard, a guy that was about to get fired going into this season, has gotten a revitalization with the Colts, with Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen. They were about to clean house in Indianapolis. If Indianapolis was 4-5 right now, they'd all be on the hot seat. But they're 7-2. So they went out there and they mortgaged a little bit of the future to get Sauce Gardner at corner. I think it's a terrible trade. And then I watched that trade and I go, well, what would be worse than that? I don't know. The Cowboys got 2 first-round draft picks for Micah Parsons and Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark's old as shit. He's on the back 9. Is that fair, Brett? Would you say that Kenny Clark's on the back 9?
Very much so.
They drafted a guy in the first round 2 years ago, Mozzie Smith. They trade him out. So can we say Mozzie Smith and Kenny Clark would be a wash in value? Kenny Clark's better right now, but he's older. Mozzie Smith, can we say it's a wash? So you basically gave up a first-round pick. And by the way, a lot of people didn't look at the writing in this trade. The writing of the trade is it's Green Bay's pick or it's Dallas's pick. Whoever has the higher pick in the draft, whoever's pick is better for the Jets, they get to take. So let's just say Green Bay has a quarterback injury and they finish in the top 10. Well, Guess what? Jets get that pick. Let's say Dallas implodes like it looks like they will, and they finish in the top 10. Then the Jets get that pick. You gave up you got 2 first-round draft picks in capital for Micah Parsons, and you gave up a first and a second for Quentin Williams. Quentin Williams, who, by the way, Quentin Williams isn't 3 years ago. Quentin Williams 3 years ago was baby Aaron Donald. Quentin Williams now is a good run stuffer from the interior. When you watch Dallas defense play, it's not the interior that's the problem. They have no edge presence at all. None. Then they trade for a backup linebacker on the only defense in the NFL that's ranked below them from the Cincinnati Bengals. What am I missing? Am I an Eagles fan just looking at this with green goggles, or are these bad trades?
I think the trades are hilarious. Like, it feels like the Cowboys did a little bit, but not enough. Like, they strengthened the interior, so it's hard to run up the middle, but also I can still just gash them the entire game with an outside zone run scheme. I get it. You wanted to get a young defensive tackle of the future because Kenny Clark is getting up there in age, and he's looking like, he's pretty much done. But yeah, I did not expect them to do this and give up on. I believe they actually got rid of Mozzie Smith too.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. You got better, but you pretty much had to admit your first round pick from just 2 years ago was a bust, and you gave up a first that you got in the Micah Parsons deal that could be a top 10 pick. I think they overpaid for Quentin Williams for sure.
Mo, your thoughts on this trade deadline with Dallas or the Jets getting 3 first rounders and a second rounder for Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams?
I think the Jets are the clear and far winners of this trade deadline. They just set themselves up for the future. And I don't understand. I feel like Jerry Jones felt pressure to make a move for the sake of making a move.
I completely agree.
And so he did it, but he knowing full well, is it going to turn their season around? No. I don't understand why you would do that. He fell to peer pressure. He fell to the fan base. He felt he had to do something. I still think that Jerry is going out of his way to justify the Micah Parsons trade. And he's never going to get that back. He's never going to get that back. Dallas is not a Super Bowl contender. And I don't think the moves they made make them a playoff contender. And I look at what Indianapolis did. I think here's the funny part. Gene's right. Sauce Gardner is not Sauce Gardner from his rookie year where he looked like he was going to be one of the elites of the elites. But if you've seen the Colts secondary, he's still an upgrade. He's still I don't know what his ceiling will be for him with the Colts, but he's actually still an upgrade for the Colts at the cornerback position. And maybe they'll take that because they can win the division outright and be a top seed in the AFC. I think that they feel like they have a legitimate chance to come out the AFC. I think they're really good. I don't feel that way. I don't think they're that good.
I mean, Sauce on PFF is the 22nd ranked corner with a 71.3 defensive grade. Cornerbacks that are ahead of him are Charvarius Ward, Jamel Dean, Cooper DeJean, Devon Witherspoon, Trent McDuffie, Nick Emanuele. Like, there's just a whole list of who's who. 2 first-round draft picks for that is just absurd to me. I get it. It's a lot. Do want to talk about the other moves in the trade deadline too. I felt like an underrated move at the trade deadline was Rashid Shaheed. And I'll tell you why. I understand what Seattle is doing here. Sam Darnold's got a big arm, and teams are starting to lock in on Jackson Smith and Jigba. And it's not working, obviously. JSN is catching tons of balls. He's got 900 and some yards already into the season. The guy might have 2,000 yards this year. But putting Rashid Shaheed makes your safeties have to respect the deep ball to open up the middle of the field. I think this is a very underrated move for Seattle. Seattle is a contender. They are a contender. I did not walk into this season thinking Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks would be contenders. They are absolutely contenders.
Agreed.
Rashid Shaheed, I thought, was a very underrated move.
Look, speed kills, and what he did, he takes the top off the defense. He's gonna make you react every time he goes out in a route. I'm not so sure that the Seahawks didn't bring in Rashid Shaheed just so he can run like 4 or 5 9 routes a game and clear out openings for Jigma Smith. Like, I didn't think that Sam Darnold was going to be able to duplicate the performance that he had last season based on how he finished last season, and he's actually been better. And the talent around him, I'm talking about their defense. They have a solid run game, and then they've got a special talent on the outside in Jigma Smith. Now you add a Shaheed to that can take the top off the defense. The NFC West is strange to me. Like, I think the Niners have that kind of any given Sunday shot to win it, but I think the two best teams in the division are still the Rams and the Seahawks, and I think the Seahawks are actually the best team in the division.
Right.
Definitely loved the Shaheed trade. He was such a great talent being wasted on the Saints. So I'm glad to see him join an offense where now you can clear out the field even more for Jackson Smith and Jigma. Can have Cooper Kupp working some underneath concepts. This team is definitely a contender. I could see this team making a Super Bowl this year. I think it's all going to come back down to, obviously, we saw Sam Darnold just tail off and struggle right at the end of the year at the worst time. I think as long as that doesn't happen again, which he hasn't shown any signs of regression yet, yeah, this team could absolutely be playing in the Super Bowl come February. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this team works with Shaheed.
Dallas is pure entertainment, and for that, I will watch your product, Jerry. I can't watch them boys. Jerry might know what he's doing. Daniel Jones is known for struggling when you take away his running back. Happened in the playoffs. The Giants, you got difference is that the Colts have an offensive line. The Giants didn't. So, and also the Colts have a much better offensive minded coach. I think Shane Steichen is a much better play caller than Brian Dable. All he needed to do was get away from New York. Talking about Sam Darnold. I do want to mention 2 more trades, and then we'll move forward. But I love when GMs send messages to their team through the media. I think it's hilarious, if I'm being honest. According to CBS Sports Research, the Jaguars are tied in having the most drop passes through 8 games. What do you think ends that sentence? In the NFL this year? You think that would be like a good ending of the sentence?
I feel like it's going to say like ever.
30 drop passes through 8 games is the most amount of drop passes through 8 games since 2000. Wow. I mean, they're dropping the football at a ridiculous rate. They have 30 drop passes in 8 games. Brian Thomas Jr., reception percentage. He was at 65% in 2024. He's at 50% now. 75 yards per game in 2024, 52 now. 6.5 yards after the catch, 3.7 now. I don't know if Trevor threw him too many hospital balls and he's just not confident in catching a ball and not getting killed, or if something happened. But Brian Thomas Jr. has been terrible. The general manager for the Jaguars traded for Jacoby Myers and said he has a superpower. He knows how to catch the ball and not drop it. That were the words that the GM said. I thought it was humorous.
Yes, it's a good thing that they traded for Jacoby Myers. They need somebody that can, catch the football. It's rough sledding out there for Jacksonville. It always feels like that they're so close to having a really good offense. They're just, missing the part of the game where you just catch the ball. It's so rough because it feels like that's why they're so inconsistent, right? They're like right there, and then it's like, well, we had a promising scoring drive, drop. Promising scoring drive, drop. If they could find some consistency on offense, there might be a really good football team and a really good quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. But we'll see how much the Jacoby Myers trade really helps them.
Look, Brian Thomas Jr. is a talent, but bringing in a veteran receiver, a solid, who's going to be a solid target for Trevor Lawrence, I think that makes all the difference in the world. And maybe bringing in that veteran receiver, it helps Brian Thomas. I really think I think that could have that kind of impact. Trevor Lawrence has been getting killed by the media when, as Gene pointed out, he's actually thrown the football well. The problem is he doesn't have anybody willing to catch the football. I do think this is we came into this saying this is a make or break, not for his career, but I think for his future with the Jaguars.
I say this all the time. Quarterbacks aren't always a product of their own play. They're a product of the system and the team around them. I think that Carolina is like a stop in like a quarterback's journey to becoming a better quarterback somewhere else. I'll give you an example of what I mean. Baker Mayfield was a Cleveland Brown. They gave up on him. Sent him to the Panthers. He's now successful with the Buccaneers. Sam Darnold was the Jets quarterback. They sent him to the Panthers. Now he's been successful. He went to the Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks. He's a successful quarterback now in the NFL. Just ship him through Tampa. Ship him through Carolina, and we'll find him a better home somewhere else. A lot of these quarterbacks that we wrote off, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, they're successful in other places, in other systems. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence will be a part of that, but when I ask you guys, and I'll ask you guys all the time, the Chicago Bears are another one. Caleb Williams now stinks. This always happens, right? Justin Fields stinks. Caleb Williams stinks. They all stink. Chicago stinks. It's really what it is. It's called for what it is. Quarterbacks go to some of these places to die.
If you're right, though, is that an indictment on Ben Johnson? Because Ben Johnson's supposed to be the guy, right?
Yeah. And I told you before the season started that Ben Johnson was going to start making complaints about Caleb Williams if things didn't go as well as he wanted. But Kev.
No, that was all the point I was trying to make is that you always say this. Ben Johnson's going to eventually say, if it didn't go well, with Ben Johnson going to say, like, well, he was already here. He's not my guy. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't bring him in. He was already here. That'll be his move, right? I need to bring in my guy.
We add Miami to this list also. I thought like Miami. Listen, Tua stinks, and we all know Tua stinks. We've been calling Tua not a good quarterback for years on this show. It's not an indictment to Tua. I think he's accurate, but I think he needs to play on time in a warm weather environment. Like, you need way too many things to go right for Tua to be a good quarterback. Like, I think any quarterback that's in the NFL is a good quarterback in life. We're talking about comparatively to the NFL.
Facts.
And comparatively to the NFL, Tua needs a lot of things to go in the right direction. He needs timing. He needs weather. He needs elite receiving core, and you shouldn't need that to be successful in the NFL. You shouldn't need all of
that. Daniel Dempsey said 25 years without a quarterback. Look, that's fair, but if we're going to go there, how long has it been for Chicago? How long has it been for the Jets? Because if you ask the Jets fans, the faithful, it's been since Joe Namath.
We are a quarterback gravy. What's your team, by the way? I don't know your team. We're a quarterback team, period, which is why I don't like quarterbacks. I'm all defense, run game. It's got to be the Bears. Ben gets Caleb. Looks like he's still growing. Nothing special so far. I mean,
he needs Jesus too.
The Dempseys are going at it in the chat. That's Derek.
Oh, that's wild.
But At the end of the day, a lot of these quarterbacks, like I see the situation in Jacksonville, and I'm like, Philip Myers is going over there. I hope it works out. I hope that, but like if one of those guys gets killed this week trying to catch a hospital ball, Trevor Lawrence he relies on his arm talent way too much. I think he can be great if he learned how to play within a system, the right system. But last one, be a little bit selfish here. The Philadelphia Eagles made a couple moves, trade deadline. Re-signed Brandon Graham. He's probably not going to play much. More of a locker room guy, rotational guy. Probably not going to get on the field that often. You trade for Michael Carter, the second slot corner, gives you a little bit more depth. And if you have to move Cooper DeJean to the outside, you have Michael Carter, who's a pretty good slot corner in the NFL. They trade for Jaire Alexander, which I think is an absolute Hail Mary. However, I think Jaire Alexander is 2.5 years removed from being the best corner in football. He's 28 years old. Injuries have beaten the crap out of him. But if they can catch lightning in a bottle in a zone-style defense, which I think he would thrive in because he doesn't have to follow a receiver around the field, it's worth the risk. They gave up a 7th-round pick for him. Didn't cost much. But the big one is Jalen Phillips. Guy had his most successful year under Vic Fangio. The Eagles gave up a compensatory 3rd-round pick to get Jalen Phillips, which is basically the third they lost for Josh Sweat in 2027. Your thoughts on the Eagles trade deadline moves? Is it Howie season or is this a lot of nothing?
I think it's Howie season. And I love it that Howie has the relationship he has with Vic Fangio where they can have a conversation and Vic can be like, I need that guy. I want that guy because I know how to coach him. I know what his strengths are and how he goes out and makes it happen. We can go at this ad nauseum. He is the best GM in the NFL, and it's not even close. He's making moves with the understanding we're in our window right now where we're the Super Bowl champs, but we can win another one or another one. So every move he makes is for right now. And I love that about Howie Roseman.
Brett?
I thought it was a good trade deadline for the Eagles. They like Jalen Phillips, and adding Carter just gives you some more, diversity on what you can do with your secondary. Jaire, he's one of those guys that, give him a couple weeks, let him play his way back into shape. He's only played 2 games this year, pretty much missed all of last year, so it might take a while to see return on that investment. But for a 7th-round pick, I think he's worth the risk if he doesn't work out. It's not really like you're giving up that much. You haven't drafted that much talent in this 7th, so I definitely think it's worth the risk for sure.
I love it so far. We'll see how it plays out. I just think players can find second wins in winning situations. And I think Jaire Alexander being around a lot of guys in that situation where you have Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, young legs, athletic, you really only need him to take away a zone of the field. And the guy understands how to read an offense. He's been one of the best corners in football before. We're not asking him to follow around a top receiver. We're not asking him to do as much. The Eagles don't blitz as often as Baltimore does. So you're not leaving him out on an island. You're asking him to cover an area. And I think Jaire can do that. Let's move forward. Couple fun things that happened in the NFL. I want to bring this one up because as much as I just gave the Jets credit earlier in the trade deadline talk, I'm going to take some of it away. Quincy Williams, who to me is a very good inside linebacker. He's been the brother of Quinnen Williams, was benched. Then he went and spoke to the media, which to me just signals that you just have no give a shit for your organization. My coaches told me I was underperforming. I've been underperforming since training camp. Williams told ESPN after Wednesday's practice. Williams, who then went on to inform by the coaches on Monday, described himself as a non-starting Jet. Yeah, I'll expect to be active, but I really have no clue on what my role will be. Aaron Glenn cut a guy earlier in the season, who's, by the way, on the Eagles roster, because he fumbled a punt and said, you cost this team a win. We don't have no place for you here. They traded Quinnen Williams, his brother, and Sauce Gardner. I want Aaron Glenn to be successful. I don't think he's doing a good job. I think the culture in New York is poor, and I think it's very obvious. With the defensive coordinator that comes over to be your head coach, you would thought the mindset of the team would be defensive-based. It's been bad. What are your thoughts on the Jets situation and Quincy Williams being benched?
I was rooting for Aaron Glenn. I'm a big Aaron Glenn fan, but I come to the realization that, look, some guys are terrific coordinators. They're not head coaches. I don't think Aaron Glenn's a head coach. I don't think he has that thing where he can be an overseer and delegate responsibilities and be that guy. And I'm not saying that he's not a talent, but I think his lot in life is he's going to be a terrific coordinator. And look, clearly the people up top feel the same way. They have not fired him, but the moves that they're making, they're basically saying we're making moves for the future. This season's done. And I think when you do that, I'm not saying Aaron Glenn's getting fired, but it doesn't look good. It looks like they're making moves for the future around him, and I think he's going to remain the coach till the end of the season. But if they keep going down this spiral that they're going, how does he not get fired?
Brett?
So here's the challenge when it comes to Aaron Glenn, right? How much of this bad culture is on him and how much of this bad culture is just kind of on the Jets? Because they were a mess before he even got there. It's one of those things that it doesn't look great right now. I'm willing to, let it play out for another year to see if anything changes because this Jets organization has just always been a mess. So overall, I don't think it's going great either. But also, it's a rookie head coach going into an absolutely messy organization. So I'm willing to give it time, but I don't think it's looking great either.
It's definitely not looking great.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, right, so you can make the point that the culture wasn't great before he got there, but since he's got there, it's worse.
Yeah.
Like if you told me, well, I can see where they play harder or they do something differently, it's actually gotten worse. Like, what does he stand on for year one?
He said, J-Man Event says they play hard. I'm not mad at Glenn. Oh, okay. Their scheme does not look good. I'll just be very clear when I say that. And then last NFL topic I had for the day before we give our prediction for Thursday Night Football. I thought this was a very intriguing story, and I don't think it's made enough of it. So the Arizona Cardinals win a game on Monday Night Football. Now, I want to lead you into the week, Friday, Saturday. Most people think Kyler Murray is starting the game on Monday night. Fantasy predictions had him starting. He's been practicing with the team. He didn't miss practices. He's out with a foot injury that he had, and they sit him out for the game versus Dallas. Jacoby Brissett looks pretty good. Marvin Harrison has his best game as a wide receiver. The next morning, the Cardinals officially named Jacoby Brissett their starting quarterback. They start getting a ton of backlash for the Kyler Murray era is over. I don't know if Kyler Murray's agent called, like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, you're paying my guy $40 million a year. Like, and then they put Kyler on IR and say it's an injury related. I thought this was a mess. And I think if you're going to make this decision, you have to have the foresight to talk to Kyler Murray beforehand and say, hey, listen, if you want us to place you on IR, so it doesn't destroy your value, we can trade you or we can see what we have in Jacoby Brissett, that's fine. But I don't believe this foot injury. Like if the Cardinals were 5-1 or 6-2 or whatever their record was, and they were playing well, and Brissett didn't play well, and you wanted to get Kyler, there's no way they would be putting him on IR right now. I think he's on IR to save value, to say that he's not benched, he's just hurt. I thought it was very interesting how that played out. Mo, what are your thoughts?
I think you're spot on. I think Kyler Murray has played his last game for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
It's clear what they're doing is they're trying to preserve his value by coming up with in my mind, a fake injury. And look, Jacoby Brissett, to his credit, has always been a capable veteran quarterback. He's clearly been the better football player in terms of how the offense has looked when he's been out there. Guys are coming out of their breaks. I'm talking about receivers coming out of their breaks and the ball is there. Marvin Harrison Jr., who we thought, like, what's wrong with him? What's going on with him? Suddenly he looks like Marvin Harrison Jr. again because he's getting better quarterback play. There's a market out there for Kyler Murray because you know and I know there's at least 6 or 7 teams that are going to be quarterback shopping, looking for quarterbacks. We were just talking about one of them. I hate to say it, but the New York Jets, they might be in the line looking for Kyler Murray. They're going to be suitors for Kyler Murray's services, but clearly what Arizona did is a little bit shisty, but they did it to preserve his value.
I love this. I think Jonathan Gannon is more trying to save his job. I agree. Jonathan Gannon's on the hottest of hot seats. Brett?
Yeah, say it. That's what it feels like, because even you watch the videos of Kyler Murray, getting ready to, for the game, he's practicing Tuesday, Wednesday. He looked fine. He looked like he was, going through his normal workout routine without, pain. So it doesn't really feel like he's actually hurt. It really does just feel like they're just trying to almost save his value, or Jonathan Gannon's it just feels like there's an ulterior motive with this one. Because I feel like if we got a bad Jacoby Brissett game, then I don't think he's going on IR. So I don't know. This one feels fishy.
It's crazy to me, but when you look at the breakdown of when you bench your franchise quarterback for a journeyman backup like Jacoby Brissett, you're sending the wrong message to the trade market. So I guess they realized that it was a stupid move and decided to put Kyler on IR. We got a football game tonight. I'm not saying we have a good football game tonight, but we have a football game tonight. The Las Vegas Raiders are going to travel into Mile High and take on the Denver Broncos. Broncos are 8.5-point favorites. The Raiders offense in that fourth quarter versus Jacksonville looked a lot better with Brock Bowers. I don't think PS2 is going to play tonight. I got to find out for you guys, but who do you guys play? Raiders at Broncos.
I like the Broncos. What I can rely on with Denver is their defense. The offense is always a working project to me right now. I think the Broncos win. I'll go 2013.
Yeah, he's been rolled out with his pack.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a closer game than people think. Go ahead, Brett.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I like the Broncos as well. I think it's going to be close, but I just don't trust Geno to, not make a back-breaking mistake in this one. I think it's going to be like a defensive struggle, maybe like a 17-14 game. I think it's going to be a good one.
I think it'll be a good football game tonight, too. I feel like that Bo Nix is like Jekyll and Hyde right now. It's the first 3 quarters and then the last quarter of the game. Like, seems to find ways to win football games at the end, but he's kind of putting them in that position by not playing great the first 3 quarters of the game. I guess we'll find out. Main event Jay Uso is hopping in the chat. I'm going to go Raiders upset them 23-20. Listen, I'll remember this prediction if they win tonight. If the Raiders upset them tonight, I'm thinking Jay, main event, called it first. I'm not going to call that. I think the Broncos find a way to win, but I think it's on a last-second field goal, a last-second drive by Bo Nix. Why wouldn't it be? Him and Baker Mayfield have had like the most fourth-quarter drives to win football games this year. And it's insane. 24-13 Broncos for Daniel Dempsey. This is going to be a Vegas game, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Brett, I didn't plan on doing this. I planned on asking Mo because I didn't plan on having you on the show this morning. And I'm so thankful that you're here. Monday Night Football. Eagles at Packers. Eagles coming off a bye. Notorious slow starters offensively off a bye. Packers coming off a very embarrassing loss and an injury to the number one receiver for the year, Tucker Kraft. Packers are 2.5-point favorites in the game. I don't know why, but I feel very, very poorly about this game as an Eagle fan. What do you think?
So I made the prediction that the Packers are going to really confuse the world by beating the Eagles this week and then losing to the Giants the following week. That just seems to be the Packers script this year. When it comes to Green Bay, I think obviously I think this is almost like a prime. I wouldn't call it a trap game, but a prime like disappointment game for Philadelphia, mainly because obviously coming off of a loss to the Panthers, a lot of people are kind of clowning Green Bay for that. Say coming off of a bye, like you just said, the Eagles don't really get off to the fastest of starts. I think this could be a game where Green Bay's kind of angry and looking for revenge, and if that slow start occurs like it seems to do coming out of a bye for Philly, then it could end up being, I'm not going to say a blowout, but the Packers could just get off to a fast enough start that the Eagles can't recover from. So, and I kind of think that's what's going to end up happening. I think the Packers will just kind of be upset, and they'll use that to fuel an early lead that they'll be able to hold on to.
Mo, who do you like on Monday night?
You know what? I'm going to go with the Eagles' run game. I think they rediscovered their run game. And I think Saquon's going to have one of those games. He might not have 100 yards rushing, but let's say he has 160 yards total offense between rushing and receiving and a couple touchdowns. I think the Eagles win the football game. I think it's a close football game, but I think Jordan Love is going to give you one, be it a fumble or an interception. I think Jordan Love will give you a turnover.
The one thing I don't worry about much in this game, and I probably should, is the Packers offense against the Eagles defense. Losing Tucker Kraft, they don't have Jaden Reed. You have Matthew Golden and a who's who of Christian Watson, and I just don't fear their passing game versus our defense with Quignon, Cooper DeJean. I just don't. Maybe I'm being crazy when I say this. What I fear is the Eagles offense not moving the ball versus the Packers defense. The Eagles offensive line, hopefully the bye week was exactly what they needed, but the Packers have always been a good team stopping the run. And then you have Micah Parsons who can get after the quarterback. I think their defense and their defensive scheme, their attack style defense, zone style defense, gives the Eagles a lot of fits. I think this is a very low scoring game. 17-16, something ugly. I don't know who wins. I'm not going to predict the Eagles to lose, but I am not concerned with the Packers running it up points-wise versus us. He said, I'm totally worried about Green Bay's offense after 13 points versus the Panthers. Yeah, but this is coming off of a Jordan Love MVP campaign. Like, this is the first week where Jordan Love was mentioned in MVP talks. So, like, let's not forget the first 6 weeks of the season before we talk about that was 100% a look-ahead game. That was the definition of a trap game for Green Bay. They were looking forward to the Philadelphia Eagles game on Monday. They had the Panthers, who's not a good team, at home. They were 14-point favorites. Everyone knew they should win the game, and they didn't. So it is what it is.
Yeah, look, I think it is going to be a low-scoring game. I agree with that. And I do think it comes down to the line of scrimmage. And maybe it comes down to who's more effective running the football, Josh Jacobs or Saquon and company. I'm leaning towards the Eagles. They've never had their offensive line fully healthy, but I think the bye week buys them that opportunity. I think in a low-scoring game, I'm going to take the Eagles.
All right, that's our time, gentlemen. We got to wrap up. Any final thoughts? I'll see you guys tonight, sideline to sideline, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I love the chat. Appreciate the energy, especially from main event. Damien's always doing his thing. Hey guys, make sure you check out Brett and I later on tonight at 9:00. We're doing and one. Brett's come up with a little fun thing. We're gonna do John Morant or so. Make sure you guys check us out. Make sure you check out Sideline to Sideline tonight too.
All right, Brett, any final thoughts?
Say, yeah, I'd say, look, I know Tucker Kraft's down, but don't count out Green Bay just yet. Their offense still has the potential to continue being explosive.
All right, well, thank you guys for tuning in this morning to Coffee and Sports. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. He's not guarding the 2, he's guarding the 3. And the man that knows better, it's Mo Better. We are